China is making big strides towards being the leader on renewable energy and fighting climate change. The U.S. will likely be falling back in the renewable energy world under Donald Trump. China quickly becoming the alternative energy leader. And it's very interesting what's going on. We've been suggesting for several weeks now, probably a couple months really, that Germany politically is likely to assume the role of leader of the free world, as it's called. And in terms of energy, it looks like it's going to be China. We now have learned that China has suspended 85 planned coal power plants. Even the projects under construction will no longer go ahead. And instead, China's National Energy Administration is going to put 2.5 trillion yuan, which is about $361 billion, into renewable power between now and 2020. Listen to these numbers. This will reportedly create about 13 million jobs in renewable energy, with an estimate that wind, hydro, solar, and nuclear will contribute to about half of new electricity generation by 2020. And I know people will hear it and they'll say, yeah, China, China, China. It's sometimes hard to understand how big of a deal this is, but this is gigantic when you consider that China is up there with the US as the two top energy consumers. China more energy consumption in total than the US, but less on a per person basis. This arguably represents the single biggest move away from fossil fuels in the history of mankind using fossil fuels. This is gigantic.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing, and it's great that China, being one of the biggest polluters given their population, is at the forefront of this. And I would love it if this sparked a friendly arms race, I guess, and inspired other countries to follow suit. But I wouldn't expect the United States to be there.
No, here in the U.S., Rachel, the conversation we've got politicians campaigning on is who can save the most coal jobs, while China, meanwhile, is putting $360 billion into alternative energy. We're not even having the right conversation in the U.S.
We're not, but didn't China, they pledged, I think, what was it, 20% by 2030 away from carbon?
Yes.
Okay.
Something significant.
Yeah, and I feel like also they're trying to move away from their overly smoggy reputation.
Okay, well, that's the other thing, which is China has a particular need to do this as well. Many of their urban areas are unlivable because of pollution. I was going to tell you that there are thousands of deaths a year from pollution in China. And I remembered the stat wrong. It's thousands of deaths per day, 4,400 deaths per day in China because of polluted air. So yes, China has a particularly acute need to do this. But whatever the reason is, they are very quickly becoming the leaders when it comes to this. And I wish that our politicians in the U.S. could understand, especially Republicans, because they're the most against from moving away from fossil fuels. The leader with alternative energy gains not only an economic advantage, but a geopolitical diplomatic advantage. Because when you say, hey, we're country X and we really need to make progress and go to the authority on the future of energy, do we go to Trump, who's trying to save coal jobs, or do we go to China, which has invested this amount of money in renewable energy? I think the answer is obvious, and Republicans seem to be missing the point. Send me your thoughts about this. I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. We'll take a break and be back after this. Gamefly is sort of like Netflix for video games. They have over 8,000 new and classic games for Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS4, PS3, Wii, and a bunch of other platforms. And you can play as many games as you want for one monthly fee. And if you find some games you want to keep, you can buy them for a low used price. There's never any due dates or late fees. And our audience can get a free 30-day trial at gameflyoffer.com/TDPS. The games are shipped directly to you with return envelopes included. There's no contracts, and you can rent games through the mobile app. Get the free 30-day trial for the David Pakman Show audience and support our show by going to gameflyoffer.com/TDPS.